Welcome back to the Morristown Market Report. I'm Amy Schrader with RE/MAX Real Estate 10.
And I'm Kim Swan with Union Home Mortgage.
Our special guest today was supposed to be Lakeside Marina over in Bean Station. Obviously, with the bad weather that we have had today, they had to reschedule. So we do not have a local business on today. Kim and I are going to share with you kind of what's going on in the real estate world right now. Kim's going to share with us a little bit about where rates are at, what kind of activity she's seeing, and then talk a little bit about some special things that Union Home Mortgage does that maybe other mortgage companies in the area cannot offer. So, last week we talked about Hamlin County and what closed in the month of April. So now we're going to talk about the Lakeway area, which consists of Cott County, Granger, Hamlin, and Jefferson counties. So in the month of April, we had 161 new listings that went on. 61 of those are already under contract. 5 of them have already closed. And 6 of those listings were canceled, withdrawn, for whatever reason by the owner. There were 155 total homes that went under contract in the month of April and 125 homes that closed. Average sales price was about $350,000 with 60 days on the market as the average. The median sales price was $305,000 with 23 days on the market. So sales prices on the homes that closed range from $90,000 all the way up to $1.3 million, which was obviously a Douglas Lakefront home. And that's kind of on the cheap end for a Douglas Lakefront home. But 73 of the 125 homes that sold within 30 days of going on the market. Those homes had a list to sale price ratio of 99.5%, meaning they got 99.5% of their list price when they sold. There were 15 homes that sold between 31 days and 60 days, and those homes dropped to a 95.8% list to sale price ratio. So obviously, getting your home under contract within the first 3 weeks is going to get you the most amount of money, which is why it's so important to prepare your home to go on the market and to price it properly when you list your house originally. Because if you don't, you're going to be one of those 108 price changes that we had done in the month of April. The average price change was $37,000, and those homes had been on the market an average of 97 days. The median price change was $20,000 with 63 days on the market. So the longer you're on the market, the more significant price reduction you're having to do to regenerate that buyer interest in your home. So let's compare what happened in April of this year to what happened in April of 2023. Last year they had 129 homes that sold in that 4-county area. The average sales price was $284.65 with 106 days on the market. Median sales price was $275 with 78 days on the market. So what does that tell us? Year over year, we've seen an 11% increase in the median sales price, and we've seen a drop of 71% in time on the market. So why is that happening? Well, we've still got buyer demand. Even with mortgage rates being in the 7% range and kind of fluctuating, we've still got people out here that want to buy a house. And we still have sellers who don't really want to sell their house right now because they've got a 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, 4% interest rate. So with the low inventory but a steady buyer demand, home prices are going to continue to appreciate, and those homes that go on the market that are priced right, that are going to be appealing to people, they're going under contract fairly quickly. So what are mortgage rates at right now? I know we've had a little bit of a decrease this week because last week it was like, whew.
Yeah, we have. Again, of course, obviously we always have to say credit score or interest rates depends on credit scores and all those things. But you are definitely looking in the 6s now, where we were looking, 7s and 7.5s possibly, before that. So they're going in the right direction if we can just keep that up. So.
Yeah, and it's a constant change. Like most people don't understand, mortgage rates change on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So if you called and got quoted for a mortgage, let's say 2 weeks ago, the rate could be completely different today. So that's why if you're actively out looking for a home and you think you found one you like, you need to call your loan officer, touch base with them, because the payment can change quite a bit from 6.875 to 7.5%.
Okay, definitely. Well, it's always good too to do that, and if you have a particular house picked out, we can pull those taxes and get you, a more accurate payment than without having a house picked out where we're estimating taxes and insurance. So.
Are you finding that some people are getting sticker shock from insurance costs right now?
Yes, they are. Yeah. And
I mean, I've always thought our insurance costs were relatively low, but I know mine has went up probably $300 or $400 since I bought my house 2.5 years ago, and I've not made any claims. Yeah. And so, obviously your mortgage payment is fixed as far as the principal and interest, but when your taxes go up or your homeowner's insurance goes up, then your payment goes up to accommodate for that if you have an escrow account. So,
correct.
Yeah, to me that was the biggest thing because, I think my homeowners now is close to $1,200 a year, and I was a little taken aback by that. Reached out to my insurance agent and called a few other places and found out, that's not such a bad price after all. So, sticking with it.
Yeah, I think all insurance, cars, and everything are going up. I think it's just a across the board thing. So.
Yeah, claims.
Yeah.
Whether you have one or not, you're paying for everybody else's.
Everybody else's, right.
So,
definitely.
All right. So tell us a couple of the things that Union Home Mortgage does that is not real typical around here.
Gotcha. Well, one thing we do is we do service our own loans, which you would make your payments to us. Most mortgage companies sell that servicing. So when you close a loan with them, they can sell it and you'll make your payments to someone else, which isn't a horrible thing, but when we service our own, so if people have questions, and plus it helps us to keep up with, hey, when those rates start coming down, we're going to know who to reach out to, and, hey, you might be able to look at refinancing because rates are better now and you have this rate now, this is your balance now, whereas if you refinance, it could be lower.
And whereas with the previous companies that you worked for, most of them did sell off the servicing. And so then while you may be staying in touch with your client, that company that services it is also staying in touch with your client. Yes. And so then, you may not have the jump on asking for that refinance.
Correct. Definitely. Another thing we do, our company offers us, we have a process, it's called One Look. And basically it's just where we try and get all the documentation up front to send to underwriting. And if we get a one look on a file, it just means that we've gotten all the documentation that's needed. So we don't have to go back to that customer and ask for additional documents. Of course, Mallory Womble's my assistant, and she's amazing. And I think her one look percentage now is about 80%, so which is pretty good. Pretty good for that because we've done quite a few loans this year. So.
And I know I hear people, mumble and grumble, and they're like, "My Lord!" Every time I turn around, that mortgage loan officer's asking me for another thing. And to me, that's one of the things that you bring to the table as a person who's been doing mortgages for 20 years or more. You know what you need, and so you ask for all that up front. You remind them, hey, the quicker you can get this to me and we can get it submitted, then the quicker we can make this process move. So to me, that goes back to you and your experience, and you're not constantly going back to a borrower asking for additional things. Like, okay, we're probably going to need this, so just go ahead and get it to me. We're probably going to need a letter of explanation for this. Like, you've been there, you've seen it. Right.
Well, and one thing, again, working with Mallory, like, for example, someone's pay stub. So if they have a pay stub and it shows on there that there's an other deduction, okay, we've got to ask questions on that, because maybe that other deduction could be child support, or it could be a garnishment.
Or a loan against their 401k.
Yeah, which those actually don't have to count.
Oh, really?
Income. Yeah. Loans against your own funds don't have to be counted in your debt. So
you're still paying it back.
I know, it's weird. But I guess you could just cash that 401k in and pay it off if times got hard. So, but that is an option when we talk about down payments. You can do a 401k loan, you can do a 401k withdrawal, but pay stubs is one thing we really look at. Another thing that we really look at now is bank statements. Everybody's heard the names Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna. So lots of times, or Aaron's Rentals, lots of times those could be potential loans that the borrower hasn't disclosed. They don't report to the credit bureaus. So if we're not looking at those things up front, that could get to underwriting. Underwriting could say, hey, they've been paying Aaron Rentals, $200 a month, and we find out they have a whole house of furniture. So, so they've got they owe $5,000. Well, guess what? That's another payment that could kill a deal. So we try and always do those things, check all those things out at the beginning so there's no problems towards the end. So.
And verifying that income up front on the pay stubs.
Yes.
Because I can't tell you, I don't work with buyers that frequently now, but I do have listings where, the deal has died because they say, well, when we actually got their income, documents, the income didn't match what they had said and blah, 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 blah. So checking that stuff like as soon as you get it is so important because then you're not wasting everybody's time.
Right. We actually have an income desk. We have I think they just hired a couple more underwriters. I think there's 4 underwriters, and that's all they do all day is just calculate income. So
Lord, I'd get so bored.
I
couldn't do that job all day.
Me too. I think I've taken 5 or 6 applications this week, and and obviously if they're salaried and their year-to-date income matches up, you're good to go. But you have them with bonus, overtime, shift differential pay. So those are things. So we turned in 2 yesterday, and we've already heard back. So we go ahead. So then when they do find a house, their income's done. And that normally that confirmation of income is good for anywhere from 3 to 4 months. So we don't have to go back and get new pay stubs and recalculate income.
But you do have to continue to do the verification of employment.
Oh, yes. Actually, we do a verification of employment, and then within 24 or 48 hours of the loan closing, we do a verbal. Because some people decide to change jobs, some people decide to quit jobs.
Well, some people get laid off.
Yes.
So I know one of the last loans I ever did when I worked at SunTrust is we were cleared to close on a refi, and the lady got laid off. And so when we called to do the last verification of employment the day of closing, so yeah, I remember those days well. Yeah, Try to forget them, but they keep coming back.
You're not far enough away from it, so you're still doing real estate, so Probably. You're still attached to those things. So
definitely.
But yeah, that's things that we like to try and catch up front, because like I said, we and don't get me wrong, sometimes it can still happen, But just like if tax returns are required, not always required for all loans, but if you get a tax return and it shows they owed money, so you got to, hey, are you making payments on this? Because that's a debt, or did you pay it in full? So yeah, it's a lot of paperwork that we ask for and get through. And I talked to a guy the other day, and he said, I thought buying a house was fun. And I'm like, well, it's fun after you get it bought. It's not fun while you're processing the loan.
It's fun when you get to the closing table.
Yeah, then we have a good time. We celebrate it then, but not until then.
Yeah, and I think that has changed for people just because, with what happened back in 06, 07, 08, all the mortgage fraud that happened, people had to double down. And so now it does seem like it's, okay, I'm giving them everything but a DNA sample.
Yes.
And they might require that before closing.
Yeah. If you're getting a gift from a family member, we might have to make sure it's really a family member. So
yeah, she's just kidding on
just
that.
Kidding. Yeah, just kidding.
Just make sure it's somebody with the same last name.
Oh, gracious.
All right. So anything else exciting going on at Union Home? So you've had how many applications this week?
I've had about 6 or so. I had 7 and 6 that we've sent to the income desk. So it's been a busy week.
Well, that's good.
Very busy
that's
week.
Good.
So some are applications with contracts and some are just pre-qualifications. So, and Amy's repeated, if you want to sell your house, now's the time, because there's got so many buyers that, we're just looking for a house, and the inventory's just not there, so.
Yeah, and a lot of the inventory that we have, I don't know that I stated, but right now, total active in the 4 counties, we've got 262 homes available. And I didn't pull the number, but I can guarantee you it's at least 25% of those are priced $400,000 and above. Mm-hmm. And, people around here, most of them aren't buying $400,000 houses.
No.
So I remember back when I started in 2012, if you were showing $250,000 houses, that was a really nice house. You know what I'm saying? That was like Country Club area, the Hampton West area. That was a really nice house. And so it just still surprises me, shocks me, and kind of disgusts me a little bit that $250,000 now is kind of like what $125,000 house was back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're not getting the huge family Cape Cod home and all that. You're getting a basic 1,500 square foot house. Might have
I've
basement.
done some loan, and I'm sure you have as well, but I've done some loans on houses more than once now because I've done it for so long. But back in the day, 79.9, was a first time home buyer home.
Mm-hmm.
So
I bought my first house, $70,000.
Yeah. Now that 79.9 is at least 200,000 now at best.
Oh yeah, at best.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually done a video this morning where I was talking about like the best 3 subdivisions. If you're a first time home buyer looking for a house under $200K, and those 3 subdivisions were Campbell Acres, Harold Addition, and then Fairview Hills.
Okay.
Which, Harold Addition and Fairview Hills are both off of the Fairview Road area. One's on the left-hand side of the road, the other's on the right. And the majority of those homes were move-in ready, as far as like, you weren't going to have to like do a complete gut job and all that. They sold, $175,000, $189,900, $199,900. But some of them are 2-bed, 1-bath homes. Some of them are 3-bed, 1-bath homes. You're typically not getting a garage, things like that. And yeah, you're kind of like, wow. It's great that there's still places out there you can buy a house for less than $200,000, but it may not be ideal for what you're looking for. But those are 3 subdivisions that typically the home prices are below $200 right now. So if you're a first-time home buyer looking, those are pretty good places to check out.
It's still a great starting point,
Yeah, it's not your forever home.
Right. You don't have to look at it as, and I know sometimes the younger generation wants what their parents have worked 30, 40 years for. And, so hey, start out in that home, build some more equity, and then, you can always move up,
Yeah. I mean, like my parents still live in the same house.
Mine does too.
That they bought the year I was born. Mm-hmm. They paid $18,000 for that house as a brand new construction.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a 3-bed, 1-bath, full unfinished basement.
Mm-hmm.
And houses in that subdivision now would probably sell $150,000 to $200,000.
Right.
We'll never see that kind of appreciation.
No, absolutely. And I think my parents, it was they paid $19,000, and that was 1960 something. So, but yeah, it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, all brick house, full basement. Yeah.
Well, the first thing my daddy did when he bought the house was add a 2nd bathroom, because he already had a house full of women. So he knew that was going to be a necessity there.
Definitely.
But anyway.
Definitely.
All right, so we will be back next Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have better weather. We'll have a guest for you. But if you own a local business here in the Hamlin County area, we would love to feature you on our local business spotlight. Send us a DM or leave a comment below. We'd love to get you on the schedule sometime this summer. Again, I'm Amy Schrader with Remax Real Estate 10.
And I'm Kim Swan with Union Home Mortgage.